Desperation is not a good feeling. It's not a high vibe feeling, and it does not help you create anything more than more desperation. Hello and welcome. This is Zero Limits Living. I'm Dr. Joe Vitale. Every week, I bring you inspiration and information to transform your life. This show has now become so popular you can see it or hear it on 1,000 platforms across the planet. No doubt on what you're watching or listening to right now, but also on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, YouTube, and again, 1,000 more. I'm putting all of the episodes in one place to make it easy for you to binge. Go to ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com, ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. You can also sign up there to be notified when a new show is posted. So go to ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com. I always want to remind people that I have a coaching program and it's been around for almost 20 years. It's been trademarked, it's been tested, it's a system that works. But find out for yourself, go and check it out, have a free consultation. Go to miraclescoaching.com, miraclescoaching.com. No charge, no obligation. Also, my new program, mentaltimetravel.system.com, is still helping people repair the past, reclaim lost energy, and begin to create a present and a future that is exciting and exhilarating. So go to mentaltimetravel.system.com. Finally, my latest book is Unexpected Kindness. It's at Unexpected Kindness Book, or just go to Amazon and go and check out my latest book. Now, every week I seek out a guest who I go and pick their brains to find out what they know that'll help you and help me. And I've been doing this for 72 or so weeks so far. But occasionally I just push the chair aside and I take over. And it's just me. That's what this episode is. It's me, Dr. Joe Vitale, sharing a gift with you. And what I want to do is give you a 3-step formula that works. Only 3 steps. And it's important for me to share this with you because so many people are out there. They want you to buy things. They're trying to persuade you. They're trying to influence you. They're probably well-meaning. They're probably very sincere. And a lot of what they're offering probably does work. But sometimes it's very complicated and sometimes there's some catches to it. So what I want to do is just cut to the chase. I want to give you the gift of this 3-step formula. You don't have to buy anything else. You don't have to go and do anything else. I will explain the 3 steps to you, take notes, implement it, and then see what occurs for you. Leave some comments where you can leave comments for this show so I can keep track of what's happening out there in the world. So let's back up. Before I tell you what the 3 steps are, let me tell you a little about me. If you've been watching the show, Zero Limits Living, you have a sense that I'm an author. I've written 80 some books in categories from self-help to philosophy to psychology to advertising to marketing to biography, some fiction, and a whole lot more. Even I don't remember everything I've written. My most famous book may be The Attractor Factor. The Attractor Factor revealed a 5-step formula for attracting wealth. And it was that book that got me invited to be in the movie The Secret. And of course, being in the movie The Secret blew my reputation into outer space. People on other planets suddenly became aware of who I am and what I do. Other books include Zero Limits, which is the book that brought Ho'oponopono to the world. And I did a special episode on Ho'oponopono a year or so ago. So it's also at ZeroLimitsLivingTV.com, and you can check it out. I wrote a book on P.T. Barnum. It was a business book to reveal the 10 tried and true business practices that he did back in the 1800s. And those same tried and true practices work for businesses today. That book is called There's a Customer Born Every Minute. In the marketing business arena, that is one of my most popular books. In the self-help arena, I would say The Attractor Factor is probably one of the most popular books. In the spirituality arena, I would say Zero Limits is one of my most popular, but I've also written The Awakening course, and of course, the book I just held up, Unexpected Kindness. Obviously, I'm an author. I've written lots of books about different techniques to attract what you want, to achieve what you want. And again, in this particular episode, in this show, I want to reduce everything to 3 steps, and 3 steps that I'm going to explain, and 3 steps that you can easily implement. They're actually fun. They're actually simple. So we're going to get to that in a minute. Also, I mentioned I'm in movies. I was in the movie The Secret. I'm in 19 or so other movies, many of which I don't remember anymore, because for the longest time, people would film me and then they would air the movie and I wouldn't know anything about it until somebody told me they saw it on television. And I have my own movie in production right now. It's called Zero Limits. And there's a theme here. Zero Limits Living is the title of this show. Zero Limits is the title of the movie. Zero Limits is the title of my best-selling book on Ho'oponopono. I'm all about helping people drop any limits that they may perceive in their lives, because I've noticed that when they drop their limits, they can go on to have, do, and be what they want, which is very refreshing and exciting. I'm also a musician, which you may or may not know. I've recorded 15 albums, 6 of them singer-songwriter albums. And I did all 15 albums, including those singer-songwriting albums, within the last about 10 years. So when I had turned 60, I looked at my bucket list and said, what is there for me to do that I've wanted to do and didn't get around to? And I always loved music. And I decided my intent at that point was to record music. And I faced my fears. I put together a band that I call the Band of Legends because they are so phenomenal. And we recorded 15 albums, 6 singer-songwriter albums. And along the way, I even studied with Melissa Etheridge, somebody I've been a fan of for decades, but I got to have a private one-on-one songwriting tutoring session with her. Now, I'm sharing all this with you so you have a sense that I have a background in personal development and I have a background in creating results. I was homeless at one point. I was in poverty for the longest time. I went on to transcend it. I went on to live a lifestyle of the rich and famous and to create things, buy things, have things, do things, share things, contribute to causes and people, all because I learned about zero limits living. So I'm saying this to give you a sense that maybe I know what I'm talking about. And so maybe you can lean forward as I begin to tell you what these 3 steps are. Because out of everything I've done, everything I've struggled through, everything I've transcended, everything I've written about, everything I've recorded, everything I've been filmed to talk about in all kinds of movies and on radio and television around the world in countries I didn't even know existed when I was growing up, out of all of this, there's 3 steps that'll help you attract and achieve what you want. And I want to give it to you as a gift. You're probably not paying to watch or listen to this show anyway. So Zero Limits Living is a gift. But this particular episode, I'm giving you the formula that works. So let's get into it. I was talking to Mandy Evans, who has been my personal coach for almost 40 years, since around 1985. And Mandy Evans, who I interviewed for this show early on, episode 7 maybe, we were talking about how to create reality, how to consciously create circumstances, how to really decide on what you want and get it. What's the formula? How does this work? And as she and I were talking, the clouds kind of parted, and I felt like the divine spoke to both of us. And this 3-step formula came into being. So, without further ado, let's talk about it. The very first step is to list everything you want. So if you have a piece of paper right now, or if you want to record this with an audio recorder, you can go and do it. But in some way, go ahead and anchor your list of desires, your wants. What do you want? Now, when I did the special episode fairly recently, when I talked about the books that had influenced me, I talked about Vash Young. And he had written a book called Fortunes for All and another, A Fortune for All. And in that book, he had this exercise, which is what I'm inviting you to do right now. It's to make a list of everything you want to have, do, or be. And Vash Young pushed a little bit and said, after you've made the list, review it and add everything to it that you secretly want, but you really don't believe you can have it. Add everything to your list. This is step one, to actually create an inventory of your desires. What do you want to have, do, and be? Make the list. You can call it your Christmas list, your Santa list, the God list, the blue sky list, the divine list, the wish upon a shining star list, whatever makes you do it, whatever gets you excited about it, go ahead and start making this list. Now, keep in mind, this is a list of what you want. It should be exciting for you to do. Why would you not want to make a list of your desires, especially as we go through these 3 steps? You find out you can have these desires. So it all begins with being honest with yourself and making the list. What do you want? And as you look at that list, what you would do, and this is what Vash Young had encouraged people to do, is to say, is it complete? Did I leave anything out? Because if you left something out, go back and add to the list. It's your list. You don't have to send it to me. You don't have to show it to anybody. This is your list and only your list. So you can go ahead and review everything for your privacy, for your heart's content, and these are your heart's desires. Write the list and make it complete. Then, as you're reviewing the list, this is all part of step one. As you're reviewing that list, you want to imagine that you already have these things. If you wrote down this particular car, just imagine you already have it. And if you wrote down this particular house or mansion or some sort of description of where you would like to live, imagine you're already living in it. If you wrote down that you want a particular amount of money in your bank account, in your wallet, in your purse, imagine you already have it. If you want to have your soulmate in your life and you're going out to eat and drink and so forth, imagine that's already happening. It's already coming true. The point is, as you've made this list, look at the list as a inventory of accomplishments. You've already manifested all this. And what Vash Young would point out is notice how you feel. How do you feel with this complete list in front of you, knowing it's already come true? How does that feel? Because how you feel will be really good. If you are actually in the feeling of owning and living and being with everything you wrote on your inventory list of heart's desires, you will be exhilarated. You will be feeling fantastic. You will be celebrating. You will be joyful. Your energy level, your vibe, if you will be elevated, almost off the charts. You will have goosebumps because you are just relishing the juicy experience of writing down all of your ideas, but also sensing they already came true. Now, for Vash Young, in his book, Fortunes for All, and his other book, A Fortune for All, he was pointing out that that feeling that you have is why you want everything on your inventory list. If you already feel the way that you would like to feel when you have those things, then your job is done. You are already feeling better, which is why you wanted all the things on your list. You wanted to feel better. By making the list and imagining you have everything on the list, now you already feel better. You're complete. This is profoundly important. First of all, because it takes away your desperation. Desperation is not a good feeling. It's not a high vibe feeling, and it does not help you create anything more than more desperation. Most people who feel like they're starving and they're struggling and they're really desperate are recreating those exact feelings because that's where their focus is. Whether you believe in the law of attraction or not, there is a concept or principle of psychology that says you get more of whatever you focus on. It's how your mind works. When you focus on lack, limitation, scarcity, desperation, not getting what you want, you actually program your mind to look, seek, find, and bring to you, attract to you more of what you don't want. So, this whole step, this step one, is to shift you into abundance, into plenty, into peace, prosperity, happiness, joy. From there, you can attract all those things on your list and you can attract them easier and you can attract them faster. Now, we're going to move into that in a second, but because we're still only on step one. So, step one is to make that list. Imagine you already have everything on that list. Get into the feelings of completeness. The other reason that this is really important comes from Neville. Neville Goddard, who I've written about a lot and spoken about a lot, was a mystic who basically said, you feel it real. He said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He also said, your feelings will harden into facts. What was he talking about? He was basically saying that you are a reality creation machine. But how you create your reality is by how you feel inside. Now, modern psychology shows us that your mind can't tell the difference between a real and an imagined event. So, when you imagine that you already have everything on your list, it feels fantastic. Those feelings harden into a new reality. You can call this mysticism and you can call this insane. But this is step one in a 3-step formula that works. So let's review just step one. You make this list. What do you want? Answer the question and put everything down. Nobody's got to look at your list. You're not going to turn it into a teacher. You're not going to mail it to me. It's your list. It's between you and your connection to what we'll call the great something. So you make a very complete list. And once you're done with that list, thinking, yeah, that's everything. That's all the stuff I want. Now go through and imagine it was already granted to you. I've got wands behind me. I can pick up one of those magic wands, wave it, and then you can have everything on the list. And when that happens, how do you feel? You will be joyful. You will be celebrating. You will be off the charts, satisfied. And it's that feeling of completeness that gives you the feeling you wanted everything for in the first place. So it's a shortcut to creation. And second of all, you are tricking your mind to deliver everything on that list to you because the mind believes it's already real. Remember, it doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. So when you're going through your list and you're nebulizing it, you're feeling it real and you're using the vast young technique of being complete and getting into the feelings right now. Your mind thinks, oh, this is the reality I'm assigned to create. And it starts to create it. This is all just step one. There's 2 more steps. Now, remember, I said this is a very simple 3-step formula. I'm giving it to you. I am explaining it to you. No charge, no obligation. There's nothing else to buy. I have resources. I have freebies I can tell you about if I don't forget. But I'm not here to sell you or upsell you or to get you to do something outside of improve your life. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to starve. I know what it's like to be desperate. I know what it's like to go through the dark night of the soul and have that thing last for a decade or more. I'm here to help. That's what the nature of this whole show is. Zero Limits Living, and my work is all here to help you. So let's proceed. We just went through step one at great length. So when I was talking to Mandy Evans and we were working out our 3-step formula, it was very easy to see that the second step can be summed up in one word. And it's a word you've heard before. You've heard it from me, you've heard it from other people, and it's easy to dismiss, but that would be a mistake. The second step, revolving around this one word, is all about gratitude. Gratitude. Now, what I'm referring to is being grateful in this moment. Again, this is dealing with your feelings, it's dealing with present reality. Most of us are in the moment and complaining about it. Complaining is not an intention. Complaining is a rehearsal of the past. If you want to create your new reality, you need to state a new intention and you need to move in a new direction. One way to kickstart that and skyrocket the movement in that direction is with gratitude. Simple gratitude.
Believing Before Seeing, a new book by Candace Barr, teaching you how to believe into existence. Available now for pre-order.
Now, it was about 7 years ago. I was filmed for yet another movie. It was called The Key. And in that movie, I told what has become a very famous story about gratitude. It's the pencil story. And if you haven't heard it, I'm going to give you a condensed version of it right now because it basically sums up step 2 and how to do it. So, decades ago, I'm broke, I'm starving, I'm unpublished, I'm angry, I'm resentful, I'm almost in a rage because I'm doing everything I knew to be correct. Yet I was living in a 1-room apartment that I couldn't pay the rent for. I had a car that kept breaking down. I didn't have the money to fix it. I was sending out articles and manuscripts. This is before the internet. So this is like late 1970s, early 1980s. So I'm doing it the old snail mail approach, and then I'm waiting days to weeks to months before I get what usually was a rejection letter. And then I'm devastated by the rejection. And the cycle, the vicious cycle of unhappiness just keeps going on. Yet I'm reading all the right books. I'm going to the public library. I go and listen to free lectures at different kinds of events. And I'm trying to soak up pep talk and boosterism and self-improvement and self-help. I'm stuck. And I kept hearing about gratitude. People would say, "Oh, you got to practice gratitude." And I would say, "Yeah, I'll practice gratitude when I have something to be grateful for." I didn't feel like I did. I looked around and I'm in a room with a toilet and a TV in the same room, and there's no fridge, and the carpet has ants in it, and I've got no money for food, and I'm writing on a typewriter that cost $5 from a pawn shop back then. And it's desperate times. I didn't feel like I had anything to be grateful for, but I kept hearing about practice gratitude, practice gratitude. And so I remember picking up a pencil, and it was a number 2 yellow pencil. You know the kind. When I was growing up, that's what we all had in school. We didn't have iPads and iPhones and stylus this or ballpoint pens. It was a yellow pencil. So I was in my little dumpy little area. I was living in Houston, and I picked up my pencil. And I remember looking at it and going, "Yeah, I can be grateful for this pencil." I wasn't grateful, of course. And I said, "With this pencil, I can write a grocery list. So what? I can write a suicide note. Yeah, and I might just do that. And I can write a blistering article. I can write a novel. I can write a short story. I can write a love letter. I can write a song. I can write a manifesto." And as I started to go through the list of what I can do with the pencil, I actually started to feel better. And I remember thinking I had picked up the pencil in total ridicule, total sarcasm, just total skepticism, not feeling it at all. But as I pretended to feel gratitude for the pencil, I moved into actually feeling grateful for the pencil. I actually got excited. And every time I tell the story, I get excited. And as I was telling it for the movie a few years ago, I got excited. And so I was looking at the pencil going, "Wow, I can write this. The great American novel, and I can write a screenplay, and I can write this, and I can write that, and I can write love letters, and I can write blah, blah, blah." And then I turned it over and I saw the eraser at the other end of the pencil. And I said, "This is genius. I can erase I can erase my mistakes. I can erase the suicide note. I can erase all the things that I actually didn't want to write or I regretted writing. Who ever thought of this thing? This piece of wood, which is what a pencil is, a thin piece of wood with lead in it and a piece of rubber on the other end, was a masterpiece. It was worthy of a Da Vinci creation. It was so magnificent to me. And I remember thinking, oh my God, my life is transformed. And it did in that moment. And be with me now. In that moment, I'm still in that dungy little room, the toilet and the typewriter and the dirty rug and all that, and the broke in car and the low bills and the frustration. All of that was still real. I was still broke. I was still unpublished. I was still striving. But what was different was me. Because I opened that door of gratitude in my heart, I started to look out into the world and I actually did see opportunities and see light and color and potential and even prosperity where I had looked at the very same reality before, but I didn't see it. What was different? Me. And what did I do? Gratitude. When I was done filming that story for the movie, the key, the woman that I was talking to in the movie on camera looked at me and she says, "How much for the pencil?" And I laughed and I said, "It's not about the pencil. You can look at anything in your momentary environment and find something to begin the process of shifting you into gratitude." And that's the point. This is step two. Look around at what you're already experiencing that you're grateful for. For example, as I look around, I'm very grateful. There's so much going on in my life. I certainly have things that I want to achieve and accomplish and go to new levels and all of that. But I look around and it's like, well, I got these glasses I can put on. These are magnificent. I love the color. I love that the lens is just enough of a readability improvement that it makes it easier for me to read the books that I so love reading. And I'm so grateful for Lux Media Studios putting on this show, for Candace Barr making this possible for me to have this show, for Nick, who's running the engineering in there today. There's so many things. I can just go off in any direction. But let's say that you're sitting there and you are, maybe you didn't eat today. Maybe you're listening to this on your iPhone on some sort of app and you're struggling. You're listening to Zero Limits Living or watching this on YouTube or something, and you're looking for that handout. You're looking for that hope. You're looking for the leg up. I promise that every week I bring you inspiration and information to transform your life. So you've tuned in looking for, where is it, Joe? Where's the information? Where's the transformation? And I'm here to tell you, step two is right in front of you. It's gratitude. It's looking around and playing at first if you have to, and faking it at first if you have to, till you can move into that genuine feeling of thankfulness. This is the spirit that attracts more good to you. This is the energy that raises your vibration to make you a magnet, if you will, to have more good in your life. And if nothing else, in step two, when you sit and you feel grateful, you're healthier, you're happier. You notice all the good around you, which means as each of the new moments come to you, as you move through your life and into the future, you see more of the good in your life. I'm telling you, way back in the 1970s, early 1980s, whenever I did that pencil story experience, my life changed. Even though as that day, as I sat there, I was still unpublished. But because everything changed in me, I started to get successes slowly, more easily, more quickly, and over time, they were astonishing. And to compare my life today at age 70 compared to the struggle I went through in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, it's phenomenal. This is material for a Hollywood movie. I mean, this is an inspiring story. But it's not just me. There's lots of people who have done the equivalent of this, and it's your story too. It's your story too, because you're creating your story from here. You may not be able to rewrite the beginning, but you can rewrite the future based on what you do now. So, what you do now in step two is gratitude. Find something, anything, even if you flippantly don't believe it at first, and begin to talk about why you're grateful for it so you can move into the sincere feeling of gratitude. Gratitude is step two. Now, I said there's three steps to this formula. We've covered two of them. What's the third step? If you know me and you know my work, you know that I am a great action taker. I would not have 80 books. I would not have 200 or more products. I would not have 15 albums. I would not have 19, 20 movies. I would not be able to tell you all the things I've done if I actually didn't take action to create them. So that should be a hint. Step three is to take inspired action. Now, I'll have a new book coming out next year called Zero Limits Living. There's that theme again. Same title as this show, Zero Limits Living. And Zero Limits Living, the book, is going to talk about the various kinds of action you can take. And it's going to talk about the three pillars of living, which is really about mindset, motivation, action, and slash mysticism. But that'll be in that book, Zero Limits Living. It'll come out probably June of 2024. But back to today, to reality in this moment. Step three is about taking action, consistent, persistent action. I've been interviewed on lots of shows all over the world, and I'm very often asked if there's only one secret to success, or there's one technique or tip that you can give people, something that you discovered works all the time and worked for you in your struggle to fame and fortune, what would be that one tip? And I remember thinking about it and I thought, persistent action, persistent action. As long as you keep moving forward, taking actions on a daily basis, you will achieve success, results, momentum, accomplishments that will surprise even you, because the magic is in the action. A lot of people might do step one and they take their inventory of their desires and maybe they even start to feel that they've accomplished them. Some people will do step two and they'll feel grateful. But step three, they'll sit and they'll say, well, I don't really need to do anything. The universe will do it. The universe is you. The universe works through you. I once heard that the universe was spelled Y-O-U, Everse. You are the universe. So you have to do something to create what you want in the world. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot, and it doesn't even have to be much, and it certainly doesn't even have to be hard. As long as you're taking inspired action that's within your zone of genius, which means it's a talent that's inborn for you. It's something that's fairly easy for you to do. Steve Harvey, the comedian and a great talk show host, and a very inspiring man who was also once homeless at one point, he had said that what you focus on is what's going to be created in your life. And he had said that as long as you're taking action, you're going to actually be getting more results. You're going to be seen. You're going to be heard. You're going to be participating in what I call the co-creation of reality. Reality doesn't happen to you. You are co-creating reality. So when you want anything to take place in your life, you've got to do something, but it doesn't have to be hard. What Steve Harvey had said at one point is that he said, reflect on your own life. What is it that is so easy for you to do, you don't really think anything of it? Like he had an ability and has an ability to make people laugh. That seems to be a gift. That seems to be one of the things that he does that is an inspired action for him, but it isn't hard for him. One of the things that I think might be my gift, which I've developed as a seed when I was young, is the ability to write, the ability to communicate. It's not really hard. It does take energy. It is something that takes time, but I don't look at it as hard. And that's one reason I can write 80 books. I just do it. That's what is mine to do. So when you look at your life, you can take Steve Harvey's suggestion and look at what is fairly easy for you to do. And you almost kind of laugh it off or shrug it off. It's like, well, there's nothing to that. So for Steve Harvey, making people laugh, that's actually incredibly wonderful and valuable and needed. And for me, being able to write, being able to speak is incredibly valuable since I think I'm here to write books. That's why I've written 80. And I think I'm here to communicate, which is why I travel around the world going on stages and doing my best to inspire people through my words, through my stories, through my messages. What is it for you? You might be sitting there going, well, I can't make people laugh and I don't enjoy writing books. Great. That's great. That's not for you to do if it's not your joy to do it. You look at what is your joy to do and do that. The other part of taking consistent, persistent action is that you do this every day to create a momentum. This momentum is constantly moving you forward. I remember reading William Shatner's book about his friend Leonard Nimoy. And both of them, even when they were beginning, unknown, out of work actors, took every job they could get. They were taking action. And very often they didn't get paid for those jobs, but they got seen. And the point being, the lesson that William Shatner was demonstrating through his and Leonard Nimoy's lives is that their consistently taking action was creating a result in and of itself. And that momentum was causing them to be seen so that at one point, a director who was going to be shooting a new TV show saw Leonard Nimoy and said, didn't I see you act in the fundraiser a few weeks ago? And they connected the dots, and Leonard Nimoy got that new job, which he wouldn't have had he just sat in his room and said, the universe will do it. No, you are the universe. You have to co-create your reality. This is an important element and very often a missing secret to creating what you want in life. So let's review, because those are the 3 steps. And this 3-step formula is all you need. You can watch this show repeatedly to be reminded of it if you like. You can share it with other people, give them the link to this, and then you can have conversations about it, which will make it even more rich for you. And you can find little nuances for each one of the steps that might make it even better than what I've described to you. And if so, leave a note, leave a message, leave a comment so I can see them down the road, because I'm learning too. So the very first step is to imagine the end result of everything you want. You make your inventory list complete, everything you want to have, do, and be. And then after you make your inventory list, what you do is feel as if you already have it. You just look at every item. There's the car, there's the house, there's the relationship, there's the money, there's the job, there's the sales, there's the business, there's the world travel, there's the spiritual awakening. Whatever it is, you put it down. Now imagine you have it. It happened. What's it feel like? It should feel fantastic. If it doesn't, you left something out, and write it down. If you left something out about, I took a world travel on a cruise, but I was worried about being seasick, which makes you not enjoy it being on your list. Well, then add, and you were totally healthy, and the entire experience was a joyful celebration. So perfect your list so it says what you want and you believe it, and then feel you already have it. This gives you what you want the list for anyway. You want to feel better. So you got the list, you imagine you already have it. Now you feel better. But also, it sends a message to your brain, and it sends a message to what I call the esoteric internet, the divine, the 4th dimension, the energy of all consciousness, the field of all possibilities will receive your signal and start to manifest it. The second step is gratitude. And gratitude is as easy as looking around right now and deciding I'm grateful for my pen. And then make up reasons why you're grateful until you move into why you're really grateful. And you can pick up anything. You can pick up your cat. You can pick up the dog. You can pick up something to eat. You can pick up the light. You can pick up, it doesn't matter. I have a water bottle. Pick up the water bottle. I have electrolytes in it. I'm grateful for the electrolytes. To move into that spirit of gratitude. You don't need anything. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have to look around and decide, I'm grateful. And genuinely move into that feeling. Now, you'll notice that these first two steps have a whole lot to do with feeling. It's not so much what you're thinking, it's about what you're feeling. If the thinking helps you feel more powerful, more energized, then you're in the right direction. The third element here is what I've been calling take inspired action. Now, remember, Teddy Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have right where you are. Do what you can with what you have right where you are. You don't need to wait until a loan comes through, or you hire a manager, or you get some intern, or whatever the excuses happen to be. Those all might be valuable, but sometimes they're smoke screens for procrastination. And what I want you to do is own this process. Because if you're following along, that first step is already feeding you the magic of your dreams coming true. That second step is anchoring you in the feeling of gratitude. So your vibes are off the charts. The third step is about taking action. And that's going to be easy to do because you're riding the wave of electricity from the first two steps. So the third step is about doing what you can. And doing what you can be very simple. It could be making a phone call. It could be sending out an email. It could be mailing a flyer. It could be drafting a sales letter or an advertisement. It can be learning something in your business or whatever is part of your dream. Whatever the action is, take it. And keep in mind, your intuition is going to be feeding you ideas because all of this is reaching your conscious mind, your subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, the collective unconscious mind, and then that field that I'm calling the esoteric internet that connects all of us. And so your message, your desires, your list is going to that field. And as it stirs everybody that's connected on that field, ideas will start coming to you. You'll run into people. You'll be intuitively sent to go to a store that you've never been to before. You have to follow your intuitions, even when you don't know how they're going to play out, because they're part of the inspired action. And you take those actions knowing, I don't know if this is the one that's going to win the bell for the lottery, or if this is just another step in the right direction that I'm using to take momentum to get me further down the road. You don't know what all the steps are right now, but you can take baby steps every day to make this happen. Those are the 3 steps to this formula that Mandy Evans and I talked about and came up with. Now, you don't have to buy anything. You can go and use those 3 steps. I just gave them to you. If you want more of me, if you look at the bottom of the YouTube visual video, there's a little banner that says you can have 3 of my programs for $3. You simply go to zerolimitsmethod.com, and those 3 programs are very in-depth. But I'm telling you, you don't even need them. I'm just telling you, in case you want to hear more of what I have to say, you can go to zerolimitsmethod.com. And now, as we begin the wrap up, I want to remind you that every week I do a different show. And most of them are with a guest that I've handpicked because they've got something to share and there's something I want to learn from them. And I think you would like to know from them. I'm putting all these shows at zerolimitslivingtv.com, zerolimitslivingtv.com. But you can also find them to watch or listen to on 1,000 different platforms from Roku, Apple TV, Amazon, and a whole lot more. I want to remind you to check out Miracles Coaching. That's my coaching program. It's been around for 20 years. It's proven to work. It's a system. It's already tried and true, but see if it works for you. Free consultation, miraclescoaching.com. As I said earlier, I want to thank Lux Media Studios, Candace Barr, Nick, and I want to thank all of you for spending time with me. Now, what I challenge you to do is implement the 3 easy steps that are truly fun, truly magical, and truly get results. I'm Dr. Joe Vitale. You've been watching Zero Limits Living. I love you. Expect miracles.